What's up? Good morning. Good afternoon, definitely for Druid. Know that. Good morning for some folks. Good evening for others. Welcome. A couple of you mentioned coffee. I came prepared today. I have it was full, but I was smart, and I do have coffee. Oh, actually, that's interesting. The green cap of Starbucks and the green screen. Good combination. I came prepared. No sound? Don't say no sound. Is Eric the only person that can't hear me? Okay, good. It's just Eric. Eric, don't do that to me. My computer has already crashed on me 4 times. I woke up at 9:55 a.m. here, so that's about 40 minutes before I'm actually supposed to be at my computer. This morning has been interesting. We woke up to the dogs having just made an absolute mess of our entire kitchen and dining room. Apparently one of them ate something that did not agree with them. And then all of our phones seem to have died overnight, so there were no alarms set. So this face is the bags are just going to continue to get larger and larger. The mute button, Eric. Mute. Oh man. So Eric, I just took a quick look through Discord. You have been a busy guy this morning. Lemix, good morning. Morning, Vitaly. Kevin, good morning. My pleasure. My pleasure. So yeah, so Eric, I was scrolling through your stuff and it's nice because I think I can just turn it over to you. So when you're ready to hop on here and do like voice and video, let me know. But today we are talking about Mega. And I think lots of the stuff that we've discussed in the past probably comes back up. We all kind of know what some of the challenges are. But I think as a community, it would be good to have this discussion, but then also have this content available just so if MCP wants to watch it and they can, clip it up. But we've talked a lot about some of the challenges that the economy has faced since Mega was introduced, and more specifically, some of the challenges that Mega as a token has had, not with growing in value, because we've seen both coins pump up, but sustaining that growth long term. So I want to talk a little bit about that. And I think Eric in Discord this morning kind of gave us a great starting point, right? Which is when all is said and done, one of the challenges with Mega currently, it's actually a really, really interesting dynamic because it's almost like the more popular and the more we love the game, the more challenging it's actually going to be for the Mega token to appreciate in a consistent and sustainable manner long term, right? So there's a variety of different forces at work that are conspiring and not really creating an ideal environment for the token to grow. You've got Ethereum and Tron both increasing. The bull market has not been kind to our token, and you kind of had this world where fast forward a year or two, we get another bull market or 3 or 4, however long. The token just ultimately at that point needs to be set up for success to make sure that as the native chain currency increases and grows in value, that the token has reason to grow in value as well. And right now, we just simply don't seem to have that. Matt, good morning. Andy, good morning, good afternoon. Eric says, everything starts with the concept of how goes Mega, so goes the value of everything in the game, land, citizens, and resources. And I think that's spot on, right? Because as soon as MCP introduced the Mega token and Vault simultaneously into the economy, everything used to be about the price of Ethereum or the price of Tron. And fast forward to today, now you no longer have that ability to go, outside of the natural or organic boundaries of market value, because any player at any point in time can access instant liquidity through the vault. And therefore, whatever the price of Mega is, that's going to set the tone for the value of everything else in the game. Gucci, hello. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and congratulations on the Mega Industrial. You guys get a chance. Gucci, drop the coordinates in chat too. But Gucci just got a chance to celebrate the first Mega in their MegaCryptoPolis journey. So congratulations. That's a extraordinary accomplishment, and I can promise you, your second, third, fourth, your 10th one is going to feel as good as that first one too. Sweet. So Mega came around, and where the economy was previously only constrained by sellers and buyers meeting in the middle on a price, now you have the vault, which sets the price. And the price for anything and everything, really with the exception of a couple things, citizens, land, there's only a couple things in the economy that actually aren't directly impacted by the price of Mega. But indirectly, Mega is what sets the tone for the value proposition of those materials. So citizens used to be selling substantially higher as the price of Mega relative to Ethereum struggles to gain traction or foothold. While the value of the citizens inherently has not changed, the value that somebody can get out of their buildings and the materials and assets they're producing has decreased. And because that's decreased, that value proposition, what somebody's willing to spend on a citizen, has decreased as well. So that's what we're up against, is that anything and everything that occurs in the economy is based off of and a reaction to what the price of Mega is compared to the chain's native currency. So there are going to be some people that are going to be fixated and focused on the dollar value or the fiat value of Mega. And as soon as I see that, that's a pretty good indication that that is a person that is more focused on taking liquidity out of the ecosystem, which is nothing wrong with, right? Lots of people, myself included, hopefully very soon, are going to start taking some profit out to live off of those wages. So it's important. We're gonna have to keep that in mind and not villainize that either. However, for the folks who are maintaining and are using Mega to grow in the game, the value that really means the most to us is the value of Mega relative to ETH relative to Tron. And Eric got a great point too. When you factor in the vault into this whole situation, it's not just the price of Mega, but you also have the gas that's incurred as you go to swap Mega materials to the vault for Mega, and then even Mega to Ethereum, or I guess not so much on the Tron side, but that swap is definitely critical. Yeah, so you've got the price of Mega plus the gas is the actual value of what you're producing. Spot on. So we've talked a little bit about some of the things that can be done, right? Because I think when all is said and done, nobody from the outside looking in is going to ever want to see a game that's being propped up in an artificial capacity, right? Long term, we don't want MCP to consistently intervene and change this or change that to ensure that the coin grows. That's not really a true free market. It's not a player-driven economy either. What we're looking for, I think, as a community is to be able to say this is a true player-driven, totally immersive economy. And in order for that to happen, we have to contemplate and consider what are the things that MCP has to do now with the Mega token? What are the additional utilities or integrations into the game's economy they have to do now so that a year from now, 2 years from now, they don't have to, there's no more tinkering. Noblest, hello. And Drew, yeah, that's true. The gas on the Tron side, it's tough because on the Ethereum side, to rent a property or swap materials to the vault cost you, $120 in gas alone, which dwarfs the Tron gas. But that Tron gas, it definitely is creeping up. I think I've had some cases where I'm swapping for like 20 or 30 Tron, which in the grand scheme of things, again, relative to Ethereum is nothing. It's $3 or $4 compared to 120. But relatively speaking, it does still hurt. Loudy, hello. So yeah, so Eric, talk to us a little bit. Drop in chat some of your thoughts as we go here, and I'll pause and pull them up. But Eric outlined a couple things in Discord this morning. The first being the fact that there's constant and consistent sell pressure on Mega. So if we forget for a moment everything and anything tied to the economy and the underlying tokenomics itself, there's consistent sell pressure on the token because players in the game are producing materials, and they're producing materials to continue growing. And I think we're in this interesting place with Mega World on the horizon. Most people are trying to grow as quickly as possible. They're trying to get themselves set up because if MCP does change the formula for buildings, that it makes it require more materials. If the price of Mega jumps up for World like we kind of all feel it will, we're trying to prepare ourselves now for that eventuality. So what you have happening is on both maps, you have people producing materials and just constantly trying to get the next upgrade done, purchase that next plot of land, get one step closer to being quote-unquote ready for when Mega World comes around. I know that's like, for myself, it's an all-out sprint because I know I don't have capital in reserve that says, hey, you know what? If Mega jumps up, on the Tron side to 500 Tron per mega, on the Ethereum side, 0.1 Ethereum per mega, I don't have capital in reserve for that. So at the point that token reaches a certain level, I'm now going to be forced to live purely off of what I can take in profit and reinvest. And I think you see that across the game. You've got some folks that are swapping materials for Mega or Ethereum or Tron and then back to their native currency. But for the vast majority of us, I think we see a lot of people that are swapping Mega for Ethereum and Tron liquidity to go and buy land, to fund additional constructions and upgrades. And then you obviously have some folks that are using Mega to swap for other materials. And so you have this situation very similar to the challenge that you're going to see in some other tokens and games, is where actually Mega's success is being impeded by our own desire to be successful and grow in the game. So what Eric highlighted is, with that keeping in mind that there is this concept of consistent and strong sell pressure from players, which is oftentimes misrepresented or misunderstood by the external community as players dumping on each other and dumping on external, speculators and traders. Couldn't be farther from the truth. They just haven't taken the time to understand the token they're purchasing. So tough luck, that's on you. You need to stop and understand the underlying mechanics and economy of a game that you're buying a token for. But all that set aside, what Eric highlighted is that some of the things that MCP has talked about, or that we've talked about as a community, is in order to reduce that sell pressure, there's a couple things Eric highlights. So there's the opportunity to double the amount of resources to build, factoring parts to consume materials for cars, crafting will consume materials, and special buildings, seemingly like subways, requiring nothing but materials. So less Ethereum, less Tron, more materials themselves. Eric, okay, so Eric says, my thoughts on Mega. We no longer produce materials in industrial and production. We produce Mega. Mega is going to be a utility in the game. It is the resources. There are only 1 million tokens, so not enough to sustain a huge million-person game. This is where World comes in, a burnable token. Okay? The real question is, how do we raise the price of Mega? Do we want the price of Mega to go up? Answer to the first would be price of Mega goes up as materials are removed from the vault, or people are swapping Ethereum to Mega, Tron to Mega. Yeah, so in reality, like the concept of a supply of 1 million, I think it's tough, because right now, everything we're thinking about in terms of the current player base, the current capacity of the vault, and the existing swap rates. So as more materials get added to the vault, the swap rates are going to become less and less favorable. So unlocking, once we get 3, 4, 500,000 Mega unlocked from the vault, each additional Mega just becomes that much more difficult to unlock. So there is going to come a point in time where you're going to have, if MCP does nothing differently, you're going to need to swap in 2,000 units of wood for 1 Mega, which, if Mega is worth 10, 20 times what it's worth today, that's no problem, right? Because it's keeping pace. Your overall volume and your profitability and your revenue is increasing. If the price of Mega itself is not increasing with the difficulty to unlock it, that's going to be the challenge. And so what I like about Eric's point here is the very bottom here, what he just said is that only 1 million Mega might not make it enough to make it a fixed requirement in something, right? So we run the challenge of, if Mega becomes a requirement, like Ethereum or Tron or materials in a collection formula, we go back to the challenge that we've been facing with Ethereum and Tron, which is, if the price goes up drastically, if it fluctuates, if there's volatility, it's going to introduce a lot of complexity, and we're going to see the economy stall out again. So ideally, what's going to happen is, in a bull market or a bear market, neither one of those environments is going to make things cost prohibitive to either existing or newer players. So you'll have Mega World coming around, where in the next bull run, it's okay because there's an easy, cheap, potentially free onboarding into our ecosystem using World, whereas your legacy players are going to continue to chug and move forward on the microeconomy side. And hopefully, as the volume and demand for World and activity in World increases, that increases demand on the microeconomy side as well. Vitaly says, maybe Mega can be used in breedings. Scholarship programs come to life like we are waiting for. breeding will be massive, so other buildings can still have ETH and Tron to fill the funds. I think a lot does depend on what happens with the scholarship program, right? So however that model comes to life, and then also however MCP determines World is going to be utilized. Like the integration of World into the broader ecosystem is important too. I think whatever is done with Mega, you first have to understand what's going to happen with World. It has to be World first and then react with Mega. Yeah, Eric, I can pull up Vault. Ethereum Vault, presumably. Big guy. Yeah. So Vitaly, you could definitely, if you think that breeding is going to become the next, big push and the critical component for the next iteration and generation of this game, then you could, in theory, add and incorporate additional and new requirements of Mega and World, so that breeding is not just it's not just doing the same thing over and over again with the same effect on the economy, but there's a broader impact to the economy. And as long as existing breeders are not penalized, where what costs them, what it costs them to breed in overall capital isn't 10x. If it's 10x the cost of today, that's a problem, unless what they're making on the back end is more than 10x. Yeah, and I think, Vitaly, the general mechanics on the Axie side is SLP is the token that has all the constant sell pressure, because scholars are receiving that and immediately converting it, or as quickly as possible, into their native currency so they can feed their families, pay their bills. So that's the token that has constant sell pressure. Whereas AXS, I don't think the actual native Axie token has the same. It's more of it seems to be more of a store of value versus that instant liquidity. So if we continue to compare what the two economies or tokenomics are going to look like, World, in theory, if that's coming into the pockets of scholars, that's going to be the token that's going to function like SLP, and we should assume is going to have consistent sell pressure. So there needs to be an extremely strong burn mechanism for World. On the Mega side, I think in my mind, the more we do to unlock World to pay scholars, the ability to unlock World or create World or mint it needs to create a disproportional increase in demand for Mega. So if we can hitch Mega to World and say that if I'm trying to unlock, or if I'm out there saying that in order for me to grow my business in MCP, I need to acquire 1,000 World to pay a workforce, that means I need to go out and I need to acquire X amount of Mega, or do something to create X amount of Mega's worth of material to unlock that World. Okay, so AXS you can grind. Don't have to be strong burning mechanics in the beginning. Devs have to add step by step. That's fair. That's fair, right? Okay, so it sounds like what we're getting at here, I haven't heard anybody say anything to the contrary. Jericho, hey buddy, is if we contemplate having Mega and World not be tied together, but when all is said and done, increase in demand for World has to create disproportional increase in demand for Mega. As long as that occurs and demand for World is strong, then we should be fine. Kevin says, the future vault drains that can theoretically make materials much more in demand. This will keep Mega in demand for the bigger builds. Right, because it will, the more the vault is drained, the more Mega will be required to unlock materials from the vault for those projects. And the more Mega that's required, the more Mega that will be purchased. Right. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point, Kevin. So it comes back again to that resource sink, and not just a one-time, but a continuous sink in a practical manner. Mega sand plant. So Eric says, pull up a mega sand plant, show what it makes, and cross with current. So I think off the top of my head, Eric, it's something like a max. Oh, actually, I can pull up mine. Let me tell you what mine's been producing. I think it's around like 700. Forget. Oh, let's pop out of here. Check it out. My sand plant is not staffed with the brightest bulbs, so take that with a grain of salt. Let's see. Eric, you're going to do the math on this one for me, okay? All right, so let's call it 700 sand. 702 is what I've been getting, and that's with... let's check these guys out. Not particularly strong citizens, so they're average at best, middle of the road. Yeah, I'll pull that vault back up for you, Eric. All right. So Kevin, on your side, you see it taking 2 roles. One would be staking to earn world. Yep. 2 would be resource value to keep those special buildings, costing lots of money. And Kevin, I think that's it, right? Like there's not necessarily this need to completely reinvent the wheel for anything. That staking concept, which I know MCB has shied away from, and I don't fully understand. I don't know the context on why they have shied away. I know that we all, I think, thought at the very beginning that Mega would be required to unlock world, that there would be a staking mechanism in order to mint world, which makes total sense, right? And we all know that if that occurred, the price of Mega would increase. Whether or not it would be a sustainable increase would be something else. But now there's an opportunity cost. The name of the game, it seems like, is create as many opportunity costs for getting rid of Mega. When you're accumulating it, you want to accumulate it and have 3, 4, 5, 6 different potential reasons to want to use it, but still determine that you're going to hold it. Yes, and so Kevin talks about the role that Meg will play in becoming mayor, and that's like, to me, that whole concept is still, it's not foreign, it just feels very intangible, right? So what we've heard about governance is that in order to be a candidate for mayor, which there would be a mayor on the Ethereum side and a mayor on the Tron side, in order to be a candidate and be eligible, you have to be holding 10,000 Mega. We saw, I think, Danny purchased 10,000 Mega outright, and I believe he's still holding on to that. I'm sure there are a handful of other players that have that amount or around that amount. What we don't know is, does somebody have to hold that amount for the period, for their full duration of being mayor? Can players come together to pool or stake Mega in some way, shape, or form behind another candidate? So if Eric wants to run for mayor, but Eric doesn't have 10,000 Mega, can 10 different players that all have 1,000 Mega come together and say, without losing access to their Mega, we want Eric to be considered for mayor, and therefore all 10 of us are going to stake and set aside 1,000 Mega each so that Eric can become mayor. So Eric's got a lot of math here. So 702 Mega divided by 561 sand equals 1.25 Mega per day, which is the equivalent right now of $26 per day on the Ethereum side. The price of Mega goes up, while it gets drained, might change to 4, right? So, I mean, even when you look at it, the challenge actually isn't profitability. These materials are still profitable when you forget about the impact of gas fees on the vault for the Ethereum side. But I think what people are challenged by is what they're used to, right? It used to be that in some cases, you got lucky, you could come in, you could buy a land, build a building, and in 3 months you've ROI'd, and that's just not realistic. So in some cases, we have to come to terms with what is actually truly realistic ROI. But if you forget about your overhead and what you've invested to build these buildings, the output and what you get from them is actually still very strong. It's just in our minds, it's dwarfed by what it used to be. Yep. And to Eric's point, then with again, it continues to speak to the importance of why a level 7 is so much more valuable, because a level 7 you're still going to be able to ROI quicker, because you're going to be able to produce more, plus be able to speed up when the time comes. Oh, interesting, Eric. If I said I could sell you a machine that prints $5 bills every day, how much would you pay me for this machine? Would you pay me more for a machine that prints 25? MCP in chat, hello, welcome. We are still discussing the idea of staking Mega in buildings in the world. Thing is how that will work alongside the free-to-play missions and scholarship concept. Isn't that too much to ask from Mega and free-to-play avatars doing missions using world on top of land? Okay, so that's a great point, right? So I think what they're bringing up here is the concept of trying to ensure that we're not robbing Peter to pay Paul, right? So all of us want very strong demand and consistent usage and utilization of Mega. However, the more we ask or require of Mega, the steeper that entry price is on the microeconomy side. My initial reaction to that is, I think we talked at the top of the stream a little bit about the importance of world. So MCP, I think a lot of it depends on what your plans are for world, right? So in my mind, world and free to play, as long as it actually truly is free to play and somebody's able to come into the game and make money, or make world, whatever that native currency is, as long as they have a way to accumulate and or extract value without having to bring anything to the table, that solves for your onboarding challenge. And then the question becomes, now that you've got somebody able to come in and join this game without having a dollar in their pocket, which is key to unlocking mass adoption, now how do you ensure that the microeconomy doesn't grow to be so cost prohibitive that those free-to-play players just say, why am I grinding? Because if I'm aspiring to get to build a microeconomy building, it's going to take me 5, 6, 7 years. So I think that's the balance. What is that time period? What do you want that balance to look like, so that somebody who's coming in as free-to-play, if you market the total ecosystem as, hey, come in, play Mega World, be part of the global workforce, have some fun, make some world, build and accumulate that world so that you can buy your own plot of land, so that now you can build your own corporation and start to have your own scholars. What's that balance where the price of Mega, if we've got so many requirements for Mega, that it hasn't gone up so drastically relative to world, that you get stuck again where there's this massive gap between your microeconomy class and your free-to-play class. I think it's a fair point. Tron says Megatron also has been forgotten, so there's a lot of sell pressure, and this token isn't listed anywhere. 200 Mega was sold yesterday, and it brings the price down. Mega Smelter produced for 145 Tron per day today versus what it was doing before, right? All right, so I like that concept, Eric, right? So what we know, and there's actually, and I love, because I think Billionaire Billy has said this a handful of times, and at first I think a lot of us scratched our head like, what's he talking about? But the more I thought about it, the more I really liked it, which is time is the true resource that we're all trying to unlock and accumulate in MCP, and that becomes even more true when free-to-play rolls out. If there is an immersive economy, an immersive gameplay, where players have to go around performing actions and tasks and missions to move the world and the economy forward, time does become the most valuable resource in that case, right? So our ability to want to accumulate time or amass time comes down to us going out and hiring scholars and free-to-play players to go out and to perform all these tasks, because we don't have the time, or I guess in some cases the desire, but predominantly time to do so. So world, as we accumulate or try to acquire world is our solution for the lack of time that we have. So I think, Eric, what you're talking about is we're going to demand for world is going to be driven by a shortage in supply of our personal time, whereas mega is going to be driven by our desire and demand for more building resources and materials. So the more successful we are at getting a global free-to-play workforce layer built, the more we ourselves will be able to continue building. Good news for Tron Mega holders. That's awesome. I personally have not been accumulating Mega because as soon as I get it, as soon as I swap for it, I drop it into, on the Ethereum side, I convert it into Ethereum and use it for either my collections or upgrades. On the Tron side, I actually have started, now that we've got all the materials for the subway station for 214, I've started to accumulate Tron. That's how much I believe in the Mega on the Tron side. All right, so when we were talking about Mega I forget if it was a couple of weeks or months back, what we had said was the challenge right now, there's a couple things. I guess the overarching challenge with Mega is that it controls the entire economy. So wherever Mega goes, that's where the economy goes. And previously, the economy didn't have any constraints or shackles because it was the free market in the in-game marketplace that was determining what the price was. So the price of any material could run up as high or as low as buyers and sellers deemed appropriate because there wasn't that source of instant liquidity. So that's the challenge too. So at a point in time where the vault becomes if the vault is completely drained and there's no strong desire for this, there's no need for Mega, then people will start using the in-game marketplace. But ultimately, I don't think that's what MCP is looking for. That Mega token needs to have some value, and the vault itself needs to continue to be not just a source of instant liquidity, but a global marketplace. So, Oz, I'm not sure if you're in chat or not, but I think if Eric brought up the point about liquidity, and I know a couple folks have reached out to me and said, hey, you know what? Some of the challenges with the price action might actually be able to be solved for by just some additional focus on liquidity management. So if anybody has any thoughts or ideas on that liquidity management piece, drop them in chat for sure. Yeah, Eric, that's a good point. If the in-game marketplace was gone, at least for materials, right? Because the vault exists. If the in-game marketplace is gone for wood, sand, metal, stone, brick, glass, steel, and concrete, then the vault becomes the only place to get those materials, and Mega is the only way to unlock them. That's interesting. You would still need the marketplace in some way, shape, or form for energy and water, but everything else, those basic and complex materials, you'd be all set. Interesting. Do you know what the idea behind the metro station is in MCP? Yeah, so predominantly metro station bus stops are going to function as the way for free-to-play players to move around the map. And the reason for wanting to be able to move around the map quickly and freely, I think, comes down to a couple things. One, we were just talking about the value of time, right? So you don't want to have to run from one district to another. That's important. And the second thing is also what we don't know is if stamina and energy is going to play any role in that, where if you run 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, is that going to deplete your energy? Whereas using a bus station to take a bus from point A to point B maybe requires a tiny bit of world as a fee, but you don't burn or lose any stamina or energy. Noblest says, if new buildings like car factories come, players will build again and take resources from the vault, which would be a good thing for all economy. The real question is when. Yeah, so and I think Noblest, that was something that Eric had just brought up too, which was, okay, so future buildings, the new special buildings like universities, hotels, all the stuff that MCP has talked about as being like that next layer on the microeconomy side. If those buildings come around, and they are purely based off of you need to buy the land, you need to staff them with citizens, or have free-to-play players perform missions to support them. Would we be able to get away with not having an Ethereum or a Tron fee to build and just make them extremely, extremely resource heavy? And then by doing that, you continue to have the Ethereum and Tron requirements for your other microeconomy buildings, all the buildings that are producing assets and materials. But your service buildings are not seeking or looking for Ethereum and Tron. They're looking for materials, or they're looking for Mega and or World in place of Ethereum and Tron. Yeah, Eric, I think really in order for everything to be realistic, but also helpful to the economy, there does have to be, just like there has to be a burn of world tokens or a burn of materials, the concept, if citizens or avatars are burning energy and stamina, that's going to create another place for them to have to purchase or acquire something. And if they have to purchase and acquire something for stamina restoration, food, for instance, it's going to mean that some portion of that world that they acquire is going to go right back into the game. So even though a scholar might be looking for stamina, or I'm sorry, might be looking for world, and then sell it off immediately, if there is some way for a small portion to have to be put back in, that would be helpful. Yeah, you're asking a lot of the metro station questions that we've been asking for a while, right? And I think the biggest thing, like Eric just mentioned, is being able to bring people into the district, because the more people that come into the district, in theory, the more chances there are of somebody taking an action in the district, and each action in the district should bring incremental value to a specific landowner and or the district owner itself. So have we, I guess, MCP, maybe a question for you if you want to answer or sound off, or anybody else, but what other places in the existing microeconomy that we think Mega could be a requirement that feels realistic and practical and not a force fit? We talked about, I think, on the world side, world being a requirement, a potential future requirement for breeding. That felt like a logical and practical integration. Is there anything on that side with Mega? One thing that immediately jumps to mind is when we have, so the one building or the one class of building that is the most, I think, is the most dangerous to the economy if the game takes off, are office buildings. So office buildings currently are an easy way for a player to come in, drop money in, build, and then extract value out of the economy. So somebody who comes in who just wants to build offices, great for the initial, they're buying land and then they're using materials. But after that, they're contributing nothing into the economy with the exception of the IP that they create around them. So if Mega was a requirement when you're building offices, that could be one place where you're adding something or you're layering something in there, where it's not going to hurt existing office owners. It's just as new offices are built, there's some Mega required either in the construction formula or in the collection formula. The collection formula is tough because as soon as you make Mega a requirement for a collection, it's going to impact profitability and margin. And what we'll see happen is if Mega is successful and does appreciate long term, now all of a sudden your offices become unprofitable. Yeah, Kevin, I really love the idea of staking Mega in the build. So like, let's say staking Mega in the building, and again, I don't know what it was that made staking Mega for World not appealing, but if everybody has to stake Mega, or if there's a reason to stake Mega on each one of your individual buildings, again, it's not necessarily going to solve for everything immediately, and it's not a one solution fixes everything, but it's one additional reason for when I acquire Mega and I'm saying, should I hold it or should I sell it? I need to have a whole lot of reasons to hold it, because right now, the amount of reasons I have to hold Mega versus sell Mega is, in my mind, heavily weighted towards sell. If I want to continue to grow, if I want to upgrade, anything like that, I need to sell my Mega, because holding it for me doesn't really do anything at this point in time, because I'm not going to try to acquire 10,000 Mega coins to run for mayor. I'm not going to acquire a whole bunch of Mega to stake for perks in the district, because the opportunity cost of doing all of that is that I can't continue to build, because I don't have the means to go out and purchase a whole bunch of Ethereum and a whole bunch of Tron to fund my journey that way. Bob, hello. So I think Eric's grounding point is and will continue to be, when all said and done, we can micromanage the integration and utility of Mega, but when all said and done, the real solve for it is just materials. The more materials are consumed and required, the more in demand Mega itself will be. But Eric, I think my one sole push on that would be, there's going to hopefully come a day when that vault is drained of something or everything. And when that happens, when there's no way to unlock that Mega or unlock materials using Mega because the vault is out. We saw that happen on the Tron side with Brick. Now what? Right? And the vault on both sides is a little bit wonky. And we've talked about the ratio, the day one ratios, not just for the materials themselves, but for the materials relative to other materials. You do have, because market value was used for day one vault rates, you do have an artificial bias that was incorporated into the vault on day one that will be perpetuated in perpetuity unless MCP does something different and adjust the vault rates. Right now, when you think about cost to produce, steel and concrete cost 16 times as much to produce as glass. But in the vault currently, and this is again because of day one, you've got what, a 36, let's do the quick math here. Got 36 divided by 5. You've got a 7.2 rate on steel versus concrete. It should be 16. And then on the Tron side, same thing holds true. Cost to produce concrete versus glass on Tron is the same exact as steel. And that one we have 19 divided by 3.37 of 5.6. So the point is, concrete and steel relative to glass will never be able to reach its true full value. And if it can't reach its true full value, people are not going to produce it as much. And the people who are producing it are not going to be able to unlock enough Mega. And there's going to come a point in time where it just makes more sense to produce some of the basic materials. So if we were to say that the vault was going to be reimagined, and the rates and exchange rates, not necessarily for like how much steel for how much Mega, but steel versus glass versus brick, if that was adjusted to factor in the true cost to produce, then I'd be extremely comfortable and confident. But until that happens, the vault is just going to perpetuate the flawed economy that we had before Mega, because the economy and the market values we had before Mega were based on the demand for certain materials. And the demand for production materials was extremely, extremely low. and especially steel versus glass was extremely low, and glass versus brick was extremely low. So unless something changes there, we can continue to drain and say material drains is the way to go to help Mega, but we have not solved for the inconsistencies on the value, because the value in the vault that we're using today is still being held in place and constrained by the market value in both economies the day before or the 6-12 months leading up to the rollout of the vault. Let's see here. The vault is draining. This creates demand for more industrial and a land grab. Yep, which is true. Which is true. Materials go up and down based on the game and speculation of Mega on the market. Yep, we should factor in that speculation at the point where this sell pressure on Mega starts to settle down and you start to see some organic growth coming from within the game. We should assume that external traders and speculators will come in to buy the token. And double-edged sword there, because we've talked about that. Like at the point in time that somebody starts to buy those Mega but isn't playing the game, we're going to see, when we've seen this before, Mega pumps up, and now all of a sudden we're in that exact same challenge and situation that MSP was talking about earlier, which is how do we make sure that we don't inadvertently price out an entire wave of players? So that's in my mind, whenever we think about like, okay, well, what's going to happen once speculators come in and start buying the token for accumulation and trading purposes, it will be great for us as existing players. There is a potential downside to that, though, with the on-ramp from world into microeconomy. MCP, I'm so happy to hear that. Okay, so totally agreed. There will be serious changes to the vault system, as now that sets kind of boundaries for the free market. That's not right. Perfect. Absolutely. That in and of itself is enough to make me extremely excited about the future of the economy, regardless of Mega, right? Because it's, to your point, there are handcuffs right now on certain materials. There aren't handcuffs on the price of materials and value, but there are handcuffs on certain materials. And until those handcuffs are removed and each material is allowed to evolve and grow relative to the mechanics and features that you add to the game, we'll have continued inconsistencies and imbalances in what people produce. So, that is very, very exciting to hear. Awesome. Yep, Eric, the arbitrage in the in-game marketplace versus when Mega pumps, and we see that on both sides, right? The second that Mega pumps on either side, all those packs that were that were priced above market before Mega pumped, but are now well below market, get bought up and swapped into the vault. Bruno, hey bud, welcome. All right, I'm out of coffee, and at this point in time, I'm not going to do what I did yesterday, which is just keep going to an empty cup, hoping that there will be coffee. I'm going to add some. Coffee break. Yeah, Eric. So Eric, you got I love that. It's like a philosophical question. If I could sell you a machine that would print $5 bills every day, how much would you pay for the machine? And what I love about that question is it's a good gut check, because it speaks to what our expectations on ROI is, and for what purpose we're purchasing that machine. Are we purchasing that machine that prints $5 bills because we want to make $25 so we can buy this thing, and therefore if we want to make $25 to buy this thing, I'm probably not going to offer you more than $5 or $6 for that machine. But when all is said and done, the value of that machine is not its ability to produce $25 in 5 days. It's the ability for it to produce $5 per day, every day, in perpetuity. And that's the mindset challenge that we have right now, not just ourselves, because we've got this benchmark of Ethereum Mega at $70 and Tron Mega sitting at, $20. We look at anything today and say, that's not good. And other people who are coming in to look at and explore the game, they're used to being able to go to, like, let's face it, it's the Wild West. You go and you stake some coins, and there's a 50-50 chance that you get rug pulled and you lose them. But if you don't lose them, you get like a 3,000% APY, and it just sets the bar at this unrealistic rate. That's a good, Kevin. That's a good point, right? So how reliable is the machine, and how long will it print $25? I love it, absolutely. MSP says, thing is, we want to combine all the major changes in one update, being Mega World Alpha, that also brings a lot of changes to the microeconomy. That's interesting. That's good to know. And on that note, so, I think as players, one of the things that might give us not concern or hesitation, but it's like that, like a little bit of, it's the stress and the anxiety of the unknown, is what I think, what I know, me personally, what we really appreciate is the discussion and the dialogue around certain things, so that whatever decisions the team decides to implement, you've implemented not just through your own design discussions, but you've heard from us what's important, what's on our mind. So the one ask that I would have specifically for the MCP team is, as you push forward, thinking more and more about a large update that impacts, one or more worlds and free to play as well as microeconomy, is just focus on the key concepts that you're thinking about adjusting. And it doesn't even have to be like direct, like, hey, what would you say if we did X, Y, and Z to the vault? The question can be posed in a non-specific, de-identified way. So we can't necessarily say, they're planning on doing X, Y, and Z. It can be a lot more of like a blind study, right? I do think though, so like on the dev side, I'm not sure what your preferences are, like small updates versus one large one. I do think what's interesting and likable about the small updates, especially given like the way the team communicates, right? Which you guys you're not communicating on a daily, weekly basis to give background on, okay, this is what we're working on, this is the next thing, here's when it's going to be rolled out. If you have that very clear and easily accessible and detailed roadmap, I think we as a community feel completely comfortable, or a lot more comfortable, with one large update, because we know what's in it, we know what you're working towards. When we know what you're working towards, we can proactively come in here and have streams and talk about it, so that you have the ability, if you want, you can tap into these discussions, extract little bits and pieces from the community about what we like, what we don't like, what we're hesitant on, what we're excited about, and work that into your design. If we don't know what's part of that large update, then I think the anxiety is there something that's going to be deployed where the community would really have benefited from us all coming together to talk about, if it nothing else, just to gut check or add context to it. So the nice thing about small updates is, forget about the manpower required to update, push it, get everything ready and tested. Is you've got the opportunity, if you're going to deploy 10 new things to the economy, deploy one thing, you can wait a week or two, figure out whether, are there any unintended consequences? Are there any challenges? Is this good? Is this bad? If it's good, okay, now you can move on to the next thing. That iterative, sequential order of operations with a little bit of test and learn, I know, like me personally, I favor that versus a large thing, because chances are in a large push, there's going to be something that could rock the balance. And when you have 20 things that go out, you're not necessarily able to as easily identify what was that straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak. Okay, core focus on balancing and connecting the ETH and Tron economies. And so MCP, one of the things that we continue to talk and struggle with in the community is the concept of, I think in some players' minds, because of the branding, before there was Mega World, there was Ethereum and there was Tron. One of the challenges, I think, is that players who are on just one map see this as Ethereum can't succeed if Tron is succeeding. Because if Tron's succeeding, they're succeeding because people are spending money on Tron they could be spending on Ethereum, and vice versa. So I would love, like, as we think more about this, what you're going to see, and even like Eric's comment right there. Eric responded with very scary, and that's going to be the response you get from the vast majority of players who are not in both worlds. The players who are in both worlds understand and have embraced the importance of both worlds driving each other, in Mega World driving the demand on both the Ethereum and both the Ethereum city and the Tron city. I think the team, you're going to get responses that are biased and driven by fear, because if the Tron economy siphons anything from the Ethereum economy, the Ethereum players are going to be pissed. And if the Ethereum economy siphons any value or demand from the Tron economy, Tron players are going to be pissed. So as we think about what a future looks like where there is not Ethereum and Tron, there is microeconomy and there is Mega World, which I think is what you're going for, which I wholeheartedly support. The concept of Tron versus Ethereum has to dissipate, right? The games, and Eric, that's the point, the games are in different places. But right now, there is no, the maps are in different places, but it's the same game. Noblest, before connecting two worlds, we must find a way to burn resources. ETH really has a lot of Mega and will crush the production of people who have Mega Industrial and Tron. See, but like, guys, this is the problem, and I'll be frank and honest. Right now, you're all thinking very short term. You're thinking about, how does this change impact me right here and right now? How does this screw me over? And what we've said as a community before, and Eric, you were actually the person that brought it up, I think, is that in order to move forward, some things are going to have to break. We will have to intentionally break certain things to improve them. And so everybody here talks about wanting the price of Mega to go up and wanting the economy to be healthy and stable and sustainable. Well, guess what? Some of that might require us to take a hit, to move a step forward that might be uncomfortable to us because we perceive it as being something that might hurt our pocket. You can't just continue to take one step forward, one step forward, one step forward. Sometimes to take 5 steps forward, you have to take 1 or 2 steps back, because you can't take 5 steps forward if you don't take the time to build the ladder. You can't go from here to here without the ladder. So, we're going to have to assume that certain things are going to have to occur in the economy that might disrupt certain things. But we do know that what MCP has said is that they're never going to do anything to completely unravel the fabric of the economy or a sector. What they do is going to be intended to move the game forward and be what's beneficial for everybody long term. Kevin, I like your point. I know it's tough because, like, candidly, me and Kevin both produce steel, right? So take it with a grain of salt. But we both produce steel because, like I said on my Ethereum strategy stream, I personally look for inconsistencies in the economy because I know that the game itself will not take off and the economy and market will not take off unless steel and concrete are in consistent high demand and have a high value. And therefore we go after that, right? So steel and concrete are the two places where, if those play a more vital or critical role in the broader microeconomy, if those two materials are not a Ethereum only and a Tron only, but what we do, the advancement of either city is dependent on the advancement of those two materials. Now you have created that small interaction where concrete, you don't have this massive influx of concrete coming from Tron, onto the Ethereum side, killing concrete producers on Ethereum because they don't exist. And the same thing with steel. So Kevin, I think that's an interesting point. Zeb, how's it going? Baba, what do you think about vault materials growing over time? It may appear new buildings cost more materials to balance it. So I think there's been discussion around like 2 or 3xing or more the amount of materials required to build a building. I think the question that I would pose before, let's play the game of, if I'm mayor and you came to me and said, one of the things we want to put forth is doubling the amount of materials required to build a building or upgrade a building. My question would be, is that coming from a place of this is meant to create something sustainable long term, or is it a short term solution to something? And having, I think, 2xing the amount of materials is not, it's not going to solve the problem. It's going to create a temporary increase in demand for materials. But what ultimately has to be true is we don't need more materials to build the same buildings. Isn't sustainable for growth. More demand for more buildings and larger buildings and buildings that require increasingly more complex and larger amounts of materials. I think that's the important part. Noblesse. I agree with you, but I have the impression that we will sacrifice once again, and the Tron for Mega Token will have been forgotten, and ETH is fine. And for the economy, it's still up to the Tron to be crushed by Ethereum to move forward. Put it this way, Noblesse. I would not have put money into the Tron side if I thought that Tron would be crushed by Ethereum. I bought and will continue to grow on the Tron side because I believe that in the grand scheme of things, in order to be successful or be set up for maximum success in this game, it is going to be advantageous for me as a player to have holdings in both cities. I don't know what it is yet. Originally, when I moved over to Tron, I set aside a lot of things and I said, you know what? I'm going to be able to leverage my energy and my water supply chain on Ethereum to feed production. And I was actually just going to do, I was going to produce steel on the Ethereum side and use that same infrastructure to produce concrete on the Tron side. And it didn't work because when the vault came out, there was no way to swap energy and water or transfer it using that airport, which initially I didn't like. I personally really hated it. And the more I stopped about it, the more I thought, yeah, you know what, that would have been really convenient for me. But if that were to happen, it's going to stagnate growth in the energy and the water markets on the Tron side. So I think we just have to be very mindful when we're throwing out an opinion or we're highlighting a concern about why something should or should not happen. It's completely logical and reasonable and practical for us to share our opinion because of how it will benefit or hurt us. My one ask of everybody here, though, is these are really serious discussions, and we can't be distracted from what we're all trying to get to, which is a highly, highly efficient and healthy economy. And ask yourself, is there a path to a healthy economy by continuing down the path we're on, or are there certain steps that are going to have to be taken? Are there certain pills that have to be swallowed for that economy to get healthy again? And then if the answer to that is yes, and there are some pills that have to be swallowed along the way to get healthy, well, guess what? Would you rather swallow that pill now and get healthy, or do you want to continue going back to the hospital every single week to take, for the same ailment and for the same thing? And if that's going to be the case, the nurse and the doctor is going to say, listen, just take the medicine. And I think part of that is the fact that we do have a world where there are two maps using two different currencies and two very, very different player bases. And we continue to think in terms of Ethereum and Tron instead of MCP. Okay, so imagine, caveated with just an idea, not an official statement, so don't freak out. All the steel on Ethereum required for buildings will become concrete, and concrete on Tron will become steel. Steel is still produced on Ethereum, concrete on Tron. Airport is used to transfer resources, may include ticket prices to balance the difference in production cost. Just a simple idea. Okay. So, on the Ethereum side, what will concern, so we talk about like breaking something to move forward. Ethereum players are used to, or I think the tough part will be that in a lot of them, in the minds of the Ethereum players, Tron would be, the growth of Tron and the health of the Tron economy would be dependent on materials from the Ethereum side. So as the Tron city grows, the Ethereum city should grow along with it. As soon as you introduce that type of dependency where steel is produced on Ethereum but required on Tron, and concrete is produced on Tron but required on Ethereum, you do create that connection. What I would offer up as a potential alternative would actually be, and this is not well thought out, so don't kill me on this one, but add concrete as a requirement to Ethereum buildings, add steel as a requirement to Tron buildings. So they're required on both maps. Let's see. Noble says, it is necessary that new buildings come because the ETH world is mature. There are only a few new constructions, but Ethereum has a huge power production. Both worlds must demand and burn resources. Yep, and that's true, Novelist, right? So what can't happen if we're breaking something or taking a step back to move forward 5 or 10? What has to be protected is the fact that what the total, and forget for a moment about us as players. Think about the financial continuity of MCP as a organization. Tron growing not from materials flowing from Ethereum to Tron, but because materials are being produced on Tron from buildings that are being constructed on land that has been purchased. That's a source of income for MCP. And in order for us as a community to have continuity, for the servers to continue running week over week, month over month, year over year, we do have to keep in mind that, yes, we want to make money, but MCP needs to continue to make money as well. So in my mind, if I'm putting on my MCP hat, the first thing, there are two things I want to do. I want to keep the Ethereum players happy, because in order for this game to succeed, the vast majority of money right now is tied up on the Ethereum side. And all your early adopters are there. You never want to do anything that's going to hurt your early adopters. However, the potential cash cow, or the source of revenue that's going to help feed and fuel marketing, larger teams, more development, is the revenue that can come from the Tron side, from the sale of new districts, from all the land that gets purchased, from the fees and taxes that get paid by players building buildings on the Tron side. So I still firmly believe that one of the reasons why MCP is still around today, despite all the challenges with the gas crisis, was because the Tron world was able to exist in a little bit of a vacuum and wasn't impacted by those gas fees. And something else to consider. I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash for a lot of these statements, but I'm here. It's for the health of the community in the game. We're assessing these different ideas and opinions based on what is currently true in the economy today, the current vault rates, the current formulas, the current supply and demand. What we have to stop and think about is if MCP is going to make an adjustment, which, come on guys, let's be realistic. None of us actually believe, and if you do, tell me, but I don't think any of us actually believe that 5-10 years from now, we think that it's best that as more maps and cities get rolled out, that there are all these independent entities that have no ties or interdependencies or connection or relation to each other. That doesn't make sense. This isn't Aftermath Islands where there's 30 different islands and they're all independent of each other. It's MegaCryptoPolis, the decentralized city. And take wherever it is you live. While you live in your city and your town, the viability of your city and town is dictated and determined by the health of the cities and towns around you. Not everything that you need is produced or available in your city and town. You need to go to a pharmacy. Maybe the medication you need isn't at your pharmacy. It's at another pharmacy 1 or 2 towns over. You need a sporting goods store, but you don't have a sporting goods store in your town. You have to go to another city. Life is all about not having everything you need in one specific place. It's about interdependencies. It's about a connected and immersive economy. And therefore, if we want this game to grow like it would in life and be a true metaverse with a true economy, we have to think about what that's going to mean for these disparate maps in cities. Let's stop thinking about it as being the Ethereum chain and the Tron chain. Let's start thinking about it as 2 different cities that have 2 different currencies. But if one map grows, it should create more demand for the other. It should never be a zero-sum game of Ethereum can only grow if Tron falls, and Tron only grows if Ethereum falls. Don't change formula, change demand, is what Eric says. Oh, Hustle's here. You didn't play on the Ethereum side for over 6 months last year. Yeah, with the gas crisis, right? I was in the same boat. That was one of the reasons why I came over to the Tron side, was for that exact reason. I wanted to diversify. I wanted to make sure that in the event that one city had a challenge or a headwind that the other didn't, I was able to continue to produce and play. Sebasik, I think the exposure of Tron World needs to grow somehow and get more attention to the Mega token. Yeah, and both, right? So like the interesting thing about all this is when we talk about Mega, the ironic part is, I think, and it's sitting on both worlds, I can see this probably a little bit clearer than some, but the complaints on the Tron side about Mega are the same complaints on the Ethereum side about Mega. Don't think for one second that if you're on one world and not the other, that your complaints are unique to your world or your city. They're not, right? I hate having Mega be sitting just below 0.005 Ethereum per Mega. That does almost nothing for me. As a steel producer, as an energy producer, that's not what I need, to succeed. On the Tron side, you guys are saying the exact same thing, right? Which is at the 75 to 80 Tron per Mega, that's not giving you what you need. We're all saying the exact same thing, but we're all challenging with the fact that there are 2 different tokens, and while we're saying the same thing, the exchange and conversion rates are very different. So we feel like we're saying 2 different things. Ethereum side thinks that Tron side just complaining for no reason at all. Look, you've got cheap land, you've got new districts opening, stop complaining. Tron players think that Ethereum is complaining because of the price of Mega, and it's like, how can you complain? You've got all the demand, all the materials, all that stuff, and your Mega is $20, ours is $7. It's relativity. That $20 relative to $4,500 Ethereum is absolute crap. Just like 80 Tron relative to 1 Mega with Tron at 10 cents, you look at and say that's crap, because Tron used to be 2 cents, 1 cent, under a penny per Tron, and now it's gone up 10x, and your Mega hasn't gone up 10x. Well, guess what? The exact same thing has happened on the Ethereum side. Ethereum went from 300 up to 4,000, 4,500, 5,000, and Mega has not gone up in that same way. So both maps are tasked and challenged with the exact same thing, and therefore, without realizing it, the one global solution that fixes everybody's concern is a strong and consistent demand for Mega, whether that be 1 Mega token, 2 Mega tokens, whatever the case may be. Mega itself needs to have more uses and more demands on both maps. And interoperability, yeah, you said it, not me, but that's exact. Interoperability is what solves a lot of challenges, right? One of the concerns, and I'll pick on Tron guys now, because I think you guys know that I love you, so this isn't personal, but there's so many complaints about the Tron Mega being neglected, not being marketed, not if you're MCP, do you honestly think that it makes the most sense for MCP to try to market two borderline identical tokens and try to explain to external parties, okay, well, yeah, we've got Mega for Ethereum and Mega for Tron. So if you want to invest on the Tron side, make sure you buy this Mega, this Tron Mega. But if you want to buy on the Ethereum side and invest on that, buy this one. Like, you don't see it. Look at Decentraland. Look at Sandbox. All these games. You don't see two versions of Mana. You don't see two versions of Sand. You don't see two versions of Axie or SLP. It's one. And the reason why those tokens are set up for success is there's no confusion. It is clear. I buy Mana to use in Decentraland. I buy Sand to use in Sandbox. That challenge we have right now is tough. No, you don't. That's a good point, Ark. You don't see them on two different chains. But Mega itself does not need to be inclusive of every... It doesn't have to be tied to every single chain. It could be an MCP chain, right? Like Axie did with Ronin. MCP has the ability to do the same thing. So if it's a native currency to the MCP chain, then it's completely different. Like Hustle just said, exactly. That would be one of the reasons that could drive MCP to create their own chain. Thank you, Sebs. I appreciate that, right? Okay, so there's, when all is said and done, there's so much less confusion facing somebody who is either coming into one of those games or looking to purchase the game tokens. You don't have to stop and think, if I'm investing, if I'm not playing Decentraland, but I'm investing in Decentraland itself, and I want to buy Mana, should I buy Mana E or Mana T? Mana T. That's what's going to be the challenge for MCP with Mega. On the world side, as long as there's one world token, and this is the ironic part, right? So I don't hear anybody saying, I don't hear Tron guys saying, we want a world Tron token. I don't hear Ethereum guys saying, we want an Ethereum world token. You're all saying we want a single world token, right? So the only reason why you're saying that and you're not fighting for two different world tokens, because you know that it's not practical, it doesn't make sense. You're fighting to maintain the current paradigm with Mega because you're afraid of what a change is going to do to yourself and your operation, which is completely understandable. You're like, who can fault you for that, right? It's change is scary, but like, let's not be our grandparents. Let's stop and think about this and say, yeah, you know what? We're going to start using computers in the office, and it's okay. And yes, some people might have to be retrained and learn some new things, but it's going to be good in the long term because everybody's going to be using computers instead of using pieces of paper and pen to do all their math. Sometimes you have to introduce change and go through something to get to where you want to go. Can somebody explain ZK Relay? I don't know what that is. Hustler seems to be ecstatic about ZK, so somebody explain it to me, please. Oh, Battalion knows too. What is ZK? How do I not know what this is? And so Nola's like, okay, so you've identified one of the practical solutions, right? Okay, so eliminate the nuance of currency. Well, I'm actually just seeing my hearing here. This is crazy. Eliminate that nuance of Ethereum versus Tron, and now all of a sudden, now you open the door, and all the office owners are going to come in screaming, saying, "What the heck? No! Like, you have to maintain Ethereum intro." Like, so no matter what you do, somebody's going to be pissed off, right? There's going to be something is going to have to change or be broken in most cases, and as long as we understand what those impacts are, we can talk through, okay, if I'm an office owner, which I'm not, if I'm an office owner, if you're going to change up anything that impacts offices, here's what's important to me. If you're going to change anything that impacts residential, here's what's important to me. And I think that's What will be interesting is as MCP releases more information about governance, then we'll have a clearer understanding as to how governance plays a role in all of this. It does keep gas prices in check, Druid, right? DK is like the only hash. Huh. I'm gonna have to look into that. I don't know what that is. Yeah, Eric, the to your point, think of it to keep things simple for the majority of folks. Maybe we don't use the tax terminology, but it's a tariff, right? It's an import-export tariff. So whenever you're talking about one city to the other, what is the thing that countries do with one another to protect their economies? It's tariffs. It's something to balance to make sure that before somebody goes and seeks products from another country, governments want stuff that's produced in the U.S. to be used and bought by U.S. citizens before we bring in stuff from China. And stuff coming over from China has a tariff, because if Chinese manufacturers are going to send products to the U.S. and flood the market with cheap materials, you better damn well believe that the U.S. government is going to make sure that there's something that's coming that's going to help our economy versus erode the value of American goods. It's the exact same. What everybody's talking about is the exact same thing. There's a tariff system in place, and I think where our heads would naturally go to is, me personally, I get the need for that. I think it's realistic. It adds a really, really interesting dynamic, because you're going to find, when all is said and done, what I would be most excited to see is, I want to see people on the Ethereum side go and start building stuff on the Tron side, because they see a way to create incremental value for themselves by operating on both sides. And I want Tron guys to say, hey, you know what? I should go over to the Ethereum side and build, because I want to produce steel for myself. I don't want to be dependent on having to buy steel. So having something like that is interesting, because it ensures that as one city grows, it pulls there's reason for the other city to grow as well. And it's not one city growing despite the other. It's one city growing, and as one city grows, it creates a new opportunity in this other city to meet new demand or create supply for wherever that economy is heading. Yes, and MSP, you're right. Like I definitely don't envy you guys being in a discussion trying to figure that out. But that's exactly right. Right. So how do you create this natural, practical, and symbiotic connection where Ethereum is able to give Tron something that Tron needs to succeed, and Tron is able to give something that Ethereum needs to succeed? And maybe it's not even needs to, right? Because as soon as we use the word need, we think about it as a requirement, and it becomes like, oh, like one world shouldn't be dependent on the other. Maybe the word I shouldn't be using isn't need, but benefits from. How can we allow Tron to benefit from Ethereum? How can we allow Ethereum to benefit from growth on the Tron side? Crazy G. I'm glad you created the account. Good. Maybe the good thing, MCP, I'm thrilled that you're here and we're talking about this, because while this wasn't the direction I was planning on going, it's valuable, and you're helping get some of the folks who were lurking that hadn't created a Twitch account to create an account just so they could come and chat and talk about this. So amazing. Thank you. Okay. So Eric, my problem with your theory is you're not limiting land space. People look for the cheapest lot. Yes. 1,000%, absolutely. And that's going to continue. That's the problem. And when we talk about the maturity of the two cities, you've got the Ethereum city that is highly mature. It is stable. It is established. You have land prices that, let's face it, there's no cheap land to be purchased for the most part. There's some, but it's cheap predominantly for a reason. On the Tron side, you have like 30 more districts that are going to come out. And 30 more districts means 30 more opportunities for somebody to buy a plot of land for 300 Tron. 300 Tron is how many dollars? Let me do that math. Times, let's call it just 10 cents. It's $30. $30 on the Ethereum side is 0.006 Ethereum. You cannot buy land for less than 10 times that. You cannot find a plot of land before gas that's going to cost you less than $200-300. So that's the challenge right there. That is the biggest difference between the two economies. Is Tron is going to continue to have opportunities for people to buy new land, and therefore, if you create this connection between the two worlds, where it makes more sense for somebody to go and buy land on Tron to produce something they could produce on Ethereum, that's the issue, right? So maybe the solution, or the thing that we have to keep in mind, is as MCP works to try to bring the two cities together to be part of a global economy, because that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about creating dependencies on each other. We're not talking about bring the two maps together. We're talking about creating a healthy global economy, a global economy that collectively will benefit from the mega world free-to-play layer. And therefore, maybe some of the stuff that we talked about is Tron, the Tron world actually needs to be at the same level of maturity as the Ethereum map to fully create that global economy. And one of the challenges on that side is going to be, that's going to take some time. Like 30 more districts have to open, and like the pace we're at, that puts us a couple of years out, right? And that means that that global economy can't fully flourish until all those districts are out, and we've created this balance of land scarcity on both maps. And this, again, like MCP, this goes back to, if there's ever a time for you to roll out a third city, regardless of what chain it's on, this is what we have to think about. And this is the concern of the community, because what would have happened is, if the team had deployed Tron initially dependent on materials from Ethereum, all your early adopters on the Tron side, they might not love it, but they have no basis, no ground to say, that's messed up, no way, we want to buy packs, right? Because there's enough material on the Ethereum side to build Tron. But that didn't happen. Ethereum didn't lift because Tron came out, and Ethereum didn't grow as Tron grows. And a new district in Tron opening up doesn't create more value or more demand on the Ethereum side. It creates more demand on the Tron side. And normally, what would happen is players that play on both sides would look at the two economies and say, you know what? The price of Ethereum is at $4,000. The price of Tron is sitting at 9-10 cents. I can buy land for $30 there and play the game I love and make a nice relative profit, or I can spend $300 here on the Ethereum side. And you've got too many people that opt not to go onto the Tron side because they don't like the coin. It's not they don't like the game. It's they don't like the coin itself. And what about Ted? Yeah, land scarcity is the tough one. Kevin, the ratios back to finite pieces, energy and water. Yep. Yeah, Drew. Drew's got a good point, right? Which is, so literally, if you're gonna buy a 2x2 site on the Ethereum side, and let's call it a good site. Like, it's not just a random one in a dead district. It's a good site. You're gonna build a mega industrial, and you're gonna build in a mega industrial in range of energy. You're not gonna buy that 2x2 of unsold land for less than 1 Ethereum. It's going to cost you $4,500 at the bare minimum. On the Tron side, you can buy that same 2x2 substantially cheaper. And that's why you see, like, even chat, like, you cannot deny that it makes more sense for a new player on a smaller budget, that is not holding crypto from several years back, Ethereum is always going to be challenged with pulling people in because the price of land. So what Tron has going for it is the price of land is so much cheaper, and the materials in terms of fiat for somebody who is new to crypto, it's much, much cheaper. Yeah, I think hustle, when all is said and done, what's tough here is the intangible is a lot of this is all their ideas, and their ideas that are not necessarily concrete to when all is said and done, what everybody's going to want to be able to do is put a number on a spreadsheet and say, okay, this is how this decision or change affects me, to the good or to the bad. Right now, the concept of tariffs, that's what's used in the real world, right? It makes sense, it's practical, but it's not tangible. We can't look at the concept of a tariff and say, okay, I'm no longer concerned about this because these tariffs are going to add X worth of value into the economy, of which I will receive Y% myself. That's the quantification of the impact of some of these things is the part that's really, really tricky, because some of these ideas might be like actually perfect, but until we're all able to wrap our head around the financials and the way that it impacts our investment, it's a little bit tricky. Eric, I go back to the degree of difficulty in mining Bitcoin. Degree of difficulty has not increased like it does with Bitcoin. So when you say another use case for Mega, you mean as the tariff? Or for something else? So think about this. Set aside for a second whether you love the Ethereum side or you hate it, you love the Tron side, you hate the Tron side. Because anytime anybody says, I don't like Ethereum, I don't like Tron, what you're saying is that you don't like the coin. You're not saying you don't like the map. You're saying you don't like the coin, and that's completely fine. But to the people who say that, here's the issue. Like, I'm sorry, do you not, are there no exchanges where you can't swap Ethereum for Tron or Tron for Ethereum? Like, earn your Tron, convert it to Ethereum, hold your Ethereum. You don't like Ethereum? Earn your Ethereum, convert it to whatever coin you like. Convert them both into Mega, do whatever you want. But that notion, like, we're not in this isolated world where the profits you make on the Tron side in Tron cannot be converted immediately into value that you can use on the Ethereum side, right? In-house exchange with Mega as a medium. That would be awesome. That would be awesome, Hustler, right? Like, for me personally, it's like, I'm in the US, so my ability to access Tron is not all that simple, right? It's not easy, because Tron, for a variety of reasons, is not widely accepted on American exchanges, and I get that. That makes sense. I don't love the Tron coin. I play on the Tron map because I want to build, I want to create value, and I want to be part of it all. And I see multiple arbitrage opportunities on the Tron side that do not exist currently on the Ethereum side. And therefore, what you're talking about is using Mega as the bridge between those two is very interesting, because it would allow somebody to go in and go to either map, play the game the way they love, earn the native currency, and then immediately say, I don't want to hold this. Nope, I would rather have Mega. I would rather have Mega than Ethereum or Tron. I don't care what the price of Mega is, because Mega is my means to acquire more materials, more things in game that I'm ultimately going to need. Scotty's here. Hey, Scotty. Well, you're missing a lot of good stuff. I can't wait to see what the Discord is gonna. I'm gonna get so much hate mail for all this. The crazy thing about all of this because I'm pissing off Ethereum people and Tron people. So the good thing is you can all come together in your hatred of my ideas. Yeah, so I mean, I think what I have still yet to hear from anybody is that 1 mega token is bad for the economy. I've heard that it is bad potentially in the short term for some people, depending on the dynamics and the mechanism for the conversion of everything into one. I've yet to hear a single thing that says that 1 single mega token is going to be bad for the game. So let me know if I'm missing something there. Because if we can at least agree that 1 single mega token is easier to market, easier to understand, easier to report on and share, easier to chart, literally all of these things, easier to explain to somebody. Because don't forget too, the next wave of players that we're going to get, that we're going to need to achieve the kind of growth that we need to really take off, are crypto dumb. I'm crypto dumb, right? I just got lucky to be part of this community. I learned crypto through MCP. The next wave of players is not going to be well versed. So you couple that, like, what if there were two different, if there was BTCE and BTCT, and you're talking to your family at Thanksgiving, and they're saying, well, which BTC should I buy? Should I buy E or should I buy T? You're saying, well, the underlying mechanics and tokenomics are the same. Do you feel more confident in E or T? Like, it's messy. Gas tokens for blockchains is not a love, it's the project built on them. dApps can relocate to other chains. It's the reason to be chain agnostic when Mega is what's important, not on chain it's on currently. Hustler, I love that statement. Eric, that's the danger, right? Irresponsible additions of new maps. So like a third map, a fourth map, we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But what we're saying here is it's all part of the formula, right? Because if MCP's plan is to one day add more cities, which I think we should all hope for, because that's a source of crazy growth, not just for them financially, but also potentially for the entire economy. The challenge that we have is when a new city comes out, the legacy city, in this case, we'll use Tron as the example. Map 2, or city number 2, did not have any dependency on Map 1 to roll out. Map 2 was built on packs, and therefore Map 1 felt no growth as a result of Map 2 coming into play. So in an ideal world, Map 3 will create a whole bunch of new demand from Map 2 and Map 1, because Map 2 and Map 1 are going to provide what is needed to build Map 3. So land is always going to be a challenge, because cheap land, in order for these other maps to come out, land is going to have to be relatively cheap. But as long as there's a reason to build and buy land on Map 1 and Map 2, let the new players come in and purchase the cheap land. Or even you go in and, like we're also forgetting too, is this cheap land is not just for brand new players, it's also for us. So like me personally, I know that at one point, like I think what I spent to get started on Tron was nothing compared to what I spent to get started on the Ethereum side. And that opportunity is going to exist for other players as well. So don't think about this necessarily as a new map is coming along and that's for somebody else. If there's a reason for you to want to build and have holdings in multiple cities, either to complete your supply chain or to hedge and diversify, you yourself can also take advantage of that cheaper land too. But there does have to be some mechanism, there has to be some balance that says, yes, when I introduce a brand new, just like currently when a new Tron district opens, it kind of screws all the existing districts before that, right? when somebody can go and buy a plot of land in District 255 for 300 Tron, why the hell are they going to go and buy a plot of land in 215 with me for 5,000 Tron? Not going to happen. I have to add 4,700 Tron worth of value to my land relative to what Bizzle can add on day one for his land. How about a third world polygon that will have no packs? It will operate on resources transferred from Ethereum or Tron, and land can be sold only in Mega bridged from Tron or ETH. Crazy. What I like about that is we have talked about, so one of the challenges that faced both the Ethereum and Tron side in the bull market is the fact that the cost of capital just became ridiculously expensive. And people got priced out not by the market value of stuff in game, but by the actual cost to acquire capital. So if you were to take the approach of a stablecoin map, so whether it's Polygon or anything else, but a stablecoin map that is solely dependent on materials from the other world, or with Mega as its native currency versus a fiat currency, that to me is a really, really interesting model to use. But now again, we're solving for a two-city problem by introducing a third city, right? So we're still not actually getting to the source of the challenge. There's still something underlying with our current two-city model that clearly needs some kind of tweak or adjustment. Adding a third city will help, but it's not the long-term fix. I wish I knew more about these other chains and coins. You guys clearly do. A quick update. So about 10 minutes from the point where I said, if anybody has a reason for why we should not collectively only want, if this project was starting from scratch, 1 mega token. I haven't seen anybody say anything. So can we at least just ground ourselves in future conversations? We all seem to agree that if we were going to ask MCP to do this all over again, there would not be we believe that there is additional confusion or extra confusion by having multiple mega tokens versus 1 mega token. Now, that's not to say that the two tokens need to be combined today. I'm not saying that. I'm never going to say that because I'm not gonna get the hate DMs. I'm not looking for that. But keep in mind that we all seem to feel as though one of the challenges with the growth of Mega, especially externally, is the fact that there is confusion between the two. And you cannot marketing one does not market both. You have to market both, and in order for MCP to market both broadly, it's going to be very, very challenging because all their marketing and their content and their materials have to be hyper specific. Mega Ethereum, Mega Tron. That's not easy. I do marketing and personalization for a living. That is a tall order and borderline impossible. Don't plan in a bubble. That's exactly it, Eric, right? Don't plan in a bubble. I would offer that for both, for players and for MCP. Everything that our ideas usually come to us based off of what we see in front of us right now, the here and the now. Our aspirations come from what we would like to see, but both of those things are driven by what's going to most likely benefit us either in the near term or the long term. What will benefit us all in the long term is a game that is easily marketable, is exciting, is fun to play, is out there. What's going to help the economy long term is a very strong mega token. What's going to help the world economy, and hopefully, if it's established appropriately, what's going to help the world economy is a really strong world token, which will in turn help to grow and support the mega token. That's our long term. Like, again, I don't know if anybody would disagree with that, but long term, that's what has to be true for this game and project to go to go critical mass, parabolic, just up we go. So therefore, if that's what has to happen, then we have to acknowledge and recognize that at some point in time, we're going to have to go from the current system we have, where there are 2 different maps and 2 different tokens, and all of these things that in a bubble were constructed because it made sense at the time with one world or with 2 separate worlds. If we're trying to build a global economy, if we're trying to build a decentralized project, something where it is truly mega world and it's not mega Ethereum world and Megatron world, it's mega world, then you get 2 tokens, mega and world. It's literally in the name of the game. Gonna have to do something. We're gonna all have to be able to get outside of our comfort zone a little bit to say, I understand that this might hurt. It's tearing the Band-Aid off, right? Yeah, you know what? It sucks. And if you got hairy arms, it pulls hair off, and that hurts like crazy. But you know what? You're not going to walk around with that Band-Aid on forever. No bubbles in MCP. We are building a sustainable economy to overcome all the upcoming bear and bull markets long term. Love to hear that. Love to hear that. Because what's so counterintuitive about all of this is, and we learn this the hard way, right? I think MCP, you learned this alongside us. I don't think that any one of us would have imagined that a bull market would come along and it wouldn't sweep the price of Mega up permanently with everything else. It's great. It's so counterintuitive, right? And what we've learned from this last cycle is MCP thrives in a bear market and kind of stalls a little bit in a bull market. It's one of the reasons why I'm so excited to see the market crash down at some point. Obviously, I don't want anybody to get hurt financially in it, but the fact of the matter is cheap capital is what grows the economy. And cheap capital is what grows the economy right now because in the absence of cheap capital and the ability to play on a very, very small budget, there's not enough new blood or infusion coming into the economy, which would be solved for World. So I bet you if we took the exact same thing, if we walked forward 3-4 years to the next bull market and World exists and it's an effective on-ramp for non-crypto enthusiasts or people that don't have large wallets of cash just waiting to play a game, you would probably see a different outcome in a bull market where the token actually would increase, because as the bull market kicks in and the cost of crypto capital increases, it puts more demand on the free-to-play side, which increases and creates more demand for World, which, in theory, if done correctly, will create more demand for Mega, which insulates the microeconomy, so the microeconomy continues to grow as the free-to-play economy grows. Yeah, Hustler, it seems to be, right? Love the bear market for that. I keep trying to not buy stupid shit, both in real life and in MCP, for that specific reason that when things do crash, that's the time to bring a lot more money in, and I'm personally really excited for that. Ted always makes an appearance in chat, even though it's not him. And Eric, it's a great point. What you just brought, the question you just asked MCP, which is, what makes a player want to build? And again, you're talking in terms of Ethereum, right? So what's important is, don't ask the question of what makes a player want to build in Ethereum after New World comes out. What makes a player want to build in a legacy map when a new one comes out? Because there's going to come a point in time where if we're 3-4 maps in, it's not just Ethereum. Like, Tron is going to go through the exact same thing, right? So What's that balance that's struck so that when a third city is introduced, or if a third city is introduced, how does that third city create incremental demand and value holistically for map 2 and map 1? Players will naturally go where the money is. 4 maps. And to drain into the new map, and the previous players scoop up the long game. Yeah, wherever they make the most. But, Eric, ironically, yes, players follow the money, but in this case, the community is not following the money. Because if the Ethereum players, and I'm talking the Ethereum only players, if they were following the money, you would all be taking a portion of your profits and putting it into land on the Tron side. That is, I'm on both maps. I can tell you, I'm profitable on the Ethereum side. I'm profitable on the Tron side. I put money into the Tron side because that's where I saw the value right here and now. And the Tron guys, in a bear market, I would hope would see the same thing on the Ethereum side and say, you know what? The land is more expensive, but I've done the math on the vault. I've done the math on demand. I see that there's no more Ethereum districts coming out, and I'm going to need steel for all my stuff. I'm going to need to go over, and I should be buying some land on the Ethereum side to build a steel plant. And if I'm going to build a steel plant, I need to build a couple industrials. I need to secure energy and resource plots. Players should follow, but players don't always do the math to determine where that money is. And so what you see happen is a lot of times people come to broad conclusions or generalized statements and say that map isn't good or that economy isn't good without fully understanding it. So maybe like MCP on your side, one of the things that you can probably help us out on is like the ability for a person to come in right now, a new player, unless they have Ethereum in a cold wallet they've been holding for a couple of years, there's very, very little reason for that player to go over to the Ethereum side, and that's unfortunate. There should be a new player coming in that says, I'm ready to play MCP. How much Ethereum and how much Tron do I need to get started? That's not happening. It's, which map should I get started on? Okay. And which map should I get started on is not being driven by strategically saying, okay, well, this is the direction I want my supply chain to go in, and therefore I'm going to need to do this because Tron produces that, so I'm going to go to Tron, or I'm going to go to Ethereum because Ethereum produces this. They say, where is it cheaper? And they go to the Tron side. And that's where the Ethereum players, I think, have the biggest challenge, because they're saying, how can our city compete with another map that has that the cost to start is so much cheaper relative to our map? And couple that with the fact that the token itself on the Ethereum side is not going up so much that you say, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna spend $1,000, or $4,000 to acquire a 2x2, but my ROI or my revenue and profitability are going to be proportional to that investment. That it's not happening right now. And Andy, so what Andy just said, this is an important point, right? For free-to-play players, free-to-play are going to always enter. And the next wave of big players are going to enter wherever it's cheapest. And that's okay, and that's good, because there needs to be a healthy on-ramp from nothing into MCP. However, in order for the overall economy to grow and be healthy, the push would be, okay, now how do we get somebody who went over to the Tron side and bought land there and started there because it was cheaper? What's the reason? What's driving them to want to go over to the Ethereum side? Because if they can produce the sand or wood that they need on the Tron side for 20 times cheaper than it costs to produce on the Ethereum side, why? Why would I ever go and build on the Ethereum side? And that's the challenge. That's the complaint of the majority of Ethereum players is why? And that will be the complaint of the Tron players when and or if a third map comes out and Tron is no longer the cheapest microeconomy option as well. And Noblest, so you're right? So if the cheapest plot of land on the Ethereum side is $300, the big price tag, right? Because the opportunity cost. Well, with $300, I can buy a plot of land on the Ethereum side, or I can buy 2, 3, 4 plots of land or more in a new district opening on the Tron side. However, if you're able to put $300 in on the Ethereum side to create more value for yourself on your Tron supply chain, or because the 300 you put in on the Ethereum side is going to help catalyze your ROI because the price of Mega has increased enough that at $300 allows you to net $900, $1,200, $1,500 over the course of the next 12 months. You're going to rethink, and your assessment is going to be based off of the ROI or the ability for you to utilize the assets from another city or another map to generate additional growth for you on your home map or your home city. Eric, back to you. Supernova, this month, level 2 rentals are changing. So within the next few days, none of us know how it's going to work yet because it's not fully discussed with pros and cons. Sounds like we'll still need a transaction, which will still limit rentals. I'm excited. I'm excited about the opportunity that rentals are going to offer for both worlds. We're still going to have to deal with, though, the opportunity cost, right? So rentals, I see rentals being a viable option for somebody who has a large operation of megas that doesn't have time to play anymore, or is going to be going on vacation and says, hey, you know what, for the next 2 weeks, I don't want to deal with this. Absent an auto collect, it makes sense to rent the building out. But you're still going to have this place where rentals will be great if you're not using the building. Because with the instant liquidity of the vault, now as long as I have the citizens to staff my building and I can collect from them in a self-sufficient manner, I'm not going to rent my building out because I can make more just producing and swapping the materials for Mega in the vault. Before, when there was the in-game marketplace and you didn't have that source of instant liquidity and you had to go out and try to sell the materials, now you could say, hey, you know what? I'll take 50 cents on the dollar renting my building out versus producing because I don't want to have to go out and try to find a buyer. So just give me that 50 cents now. You can go after the dollar if you want it. I want the 50 cents in my pocket. That opportunity cost is very different now because the vault exists. Eric, I really like the idea of unique resources or materials on each map. And I think that could be a really interesting way where when you think about crafting and that concept for world, if industrial buildings on the Ethereum side would produce rubber and industrial buildings on the Tron side could produce plastics, but not rubber, right? So it's not just steel or concrete. There's other things where each type of building is able to produce something. Maybe your Tron car plant can produce hybrids, whereas your Ethereum can produce, gas only, stuff like that. That would be an interesting way to oh, Hustler, you going in 214? Love it. I'm gonna pull it up. Hold up. Oh, dude, I love you. Oh my goodness. You're helping fund the journey for more bus stations here. All right, we're watching. It's this one, right? Over here at 278, 184. Yeah, Eric. So now it's not protective tariffs to prevent cheap wood from flowing into the Ethereum market when Ethereum can produce the wood. It's a brand new material that will help Ethereum grow. And it's a brand new material that will help Tron grow. So you don't need a tariff because its plastic isn't produced on both maps. It's produced on one map. And therefore, there's no protective tariff because you're not trying to protect your world from the flow of goods coming in. You're actually embracing it, saying, come on, send me the plastic because I got buildings to build, I got things to craft and make, and I need your plastic, damn it. So Ethereum players, get on it, start building your facilities because we need plastic. I feel like something else is happening in 2.14 now because my balance just shot up. And I don't know, Kevin, I saw you. Kevin, were you doing a business center or something in 2.14? What do you got happening here? Are you building these two here? You bought two. Well, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. This every bit of this Tron is going to go into purchasing Mega. I'm accumulating more Mega so that we have more options for bus stops. This is why when we talk about like the pros of district ownership, this is what's awesome, right? So Kevin bought land, and in an ideal world, Kevin buying land, he bought these two plots, and with Hustler upgrading his building, it's giving me more capital that I can now use to deploy back to the district. I'm not taking this Tron and going and buying land for myself or upgrading my buildings. This is all going to go to purchasing Mega to then purchase brick, glass, and concrete for bus stops. Kevin, that is very true. Land prices do go up in a couple days. I'm actually overdue. I think the 30 days expired a couple days ago. Let's see. Yes, they are. They can go up whenever. Yeah. So Eric, back to the Mega and stuff like that. I think you're spot on. I think the solution, if there's concern over cheap materials flooding one city from another, the solution out of the gate is, okay, well, don't let wood flow from Ethereum to Tron and Tron to Ethereum. Ooh, sorry, I gotta go back to your 2x2. Don't let that happen. Right, not right now. In the future, yeah, maybe absolutely. Like MCP said, like there's certain things that have to occur in order for there to be enough demand to warrant that. But in terms of net new materials for worlds that can only be produced on Ethereum and can only be produced on Tron, that could be perfect. Yeah, I like it, Eric. A use for dead or unused land. Also, this is exciting. This is your first Mega? Oh my gosh, man, that's exciting. Hustler has just a crazy amount of land on both maps. So I think also that means this is going to be the first ever Mega building constructed live on air. This is exciting. Well, thank you for the Tron, and thank you for the content. And MCP, I'm really thrilled that you've joined and you're part of this conversation, because a lot of this is like, when all is said and done, you have the unenviable position of having to decipher a lot of these thoughts and ideas into something that's going to work, not just relative to your own aspirations and goals for the project, but for the community itself. So thank you for being part of it. Thank you for contributing and hearing us out, because this is, when all is said and done, we can talk about Mega and World and all that stuff till we're blue in the face as a community, and we can argue with each other and we can say, this is what's best, that's what's best, no, you're wrong, no, screw you, I hate you more. But having you here to ask the questions, the clarifying questions, to share, hey, this is kind of where our head's at, not an official statement, but what if or what about this? Those prompts are so important, because only you know where your mind's at. Only you know what is possible. Only you know what is acceptable relative to your own guiding principles. We don't know what your guiding principles are, right? So we don't know what drives and motivates you. The more you share with us that context, the more we can talk about ideas relative to not just what's important to us, but also understanding kind of what those guardrails are, or swim lanes, relative to what you're trying to build. I wonder, can I go into cinematic mode? I kind of want to go into to cinematic mode here for this. I just want to double check that that it is not going to mess up anything. A little free advertisement for Kevin. There you go, buddy. Yes, cinematic mode is click on a non-interactive part of the map, like a road or a footpath, and then hit C on the keyboard. C is going to toggle cinematic mode on, and then hitting C again is going to turn it off. And then you've got the WASD keys to change and pan, and you can also use the arrow keys to change the angle. And the scroll wheel on the mouse is going to be to zoom, not to actually zoom out farther, but to expand the plane on the map itself. MSV, I'm really looking forward to additional camera angles and shots like that. Oh my God, Hustler. That balance is going up, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I really appreciate it. Am I now defined by the beard? I did trim it substantially over the last couple of days. Because with the mask, what's happening is, like, just beside the fact that my beard's just getting out of control, my beard starts to curl up over the bottom of the mask, and it creates this, like, almost borderline permanent little gully, and I can't deal with it. I'm worried though that cinematic mode is not playing real time with what's happening here. Do you know if I'm in cinematic mode, will it update real time? Like, I just want to make sure I don't miss the upgrade being in cinematic. Oh, this is the level 6 upgrade, right? That's why it's taking so long. Oh, MCP, while you're here, so level 6 and level 7 upgrades appear to be a rather large source of confusion, not just for new players, but for legacy players, because the way the UI works, you don't know if you have to do that gas transaction twice. You've got to sign once, and it takes a while, and you don't know, like, did it fail, did it succeed? So if you get a chance, you think about, like, quick little UI fixes, UI for level 6 and level 7 upgrades would go a long way. Oil and comb. Oh, really, Scotty? Okay. I'm not a guy that likes to spend any time on appearance, hair, beard, anything like that. Yeah, Kevin, it's a kill on the Ethereum side. Oh my gosh, I've done that too. I think I've doubled it because I wasn't sure if the transaction had signed and if it had gone through, or if I needed to actually sign a transaction for both plots. And I think I did the same thing. I burned like 0.08 Ethereum one time, and it was just because I was impatient, but didn't know what was happening. So MCB, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Reppin' 2. Yeah. Yeah. Level 6. But I don't see level 6. There it is. Whoa. Hustler, we're almost there. Oh, man. This will be exciting to see, too, in World, right? So think about this. Like, yeah, this is cool seeing it here and now. But imagine being, like, street side looking up. Seeing the cranes moving, the scaffolding, and all that stuff. This is awesome to see. Ambient building sounds. Totally. Well, if I was a little bit more savvy with all this technology, I'd find a way to put construction and hammer noises and jackhammers and stuff on the on screen right now, but I have no idea what I'm doing. So that's right. Noblis's Mega Villa right up over here, to the left. Noblis, are you doing are you offering that for rent still, or are you using it? We'll do a quick plug for you if you want. I don't know how to do sound effects. Oh, you're talking about sound effects in game, like native sound effects. Okay. So I don't know how to do that. I know there's a plugin for it. Scotty, maybe you can teach me. By the way, for you guys that don't know, Scotty does a lot of streaming on Twitch as well. So definitely go and check out his stuff. Make sound effects. How do I do sound effects? I don't know what tools we're using. Apparently, people are just using hammers and nails to upgrade this building from 2 level 5s to a level 6. Hammer and nails, that's it. No power tools were used in the construction of this office. All right. Good to know. We're gonna need a little soundboard. I tried, man, right? I guess you can give me like a passing grade for the effort. The actual execution, not so much. Yeah, maybe we can have like our construction segment sponsored by like in this segment, this level 7 upgrade sponsored by Caterpillar. Oh man. Yes. Oh, dude, Step Brothers. Such a quotable movie. That might be. There are a couple movies I've watched a lot. Like I have The Martian with Matt Damon. Oh, there's a second level 6 happening. I'm gonna zoom out here so we catch the full glory of a level 7. I've watched The Martian over 100 times now. Interstellar, I think, is going on about 30 times. Step Brothers is up there. Step Brothers is just a feel-good movie. Scotty, do me a favor. When this is done, let's DM if you don't mind just helping me get a feel for what it is I have to do, and I'll take care of it too. Because I think this stream is gonna qualify me for affiliate because it's the 7th stream in 30 days. So I also have to do all sorts of stuff with like subs and stuff like that. So we'll see. Talladega Night, yep. Ricky Bobby, that's actually that movie. That's how, when I first started streaming, that's kind of how I felt. His first interview where he's just standing there like, and the car was driving really good, and I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, sir, you can just put your hands down. That's how I feel right now. Like, I don't know if I put my hands in my pocket, down by my side. 2 level 6s. So for anybody watching this on playback or who has not built a level 6 or a level 7 before, what you can see here is in order to build a level 6, you do have to have 2 level 5s constructed next to each other. And to build a level 7, you have to have 2 level 6 constructed. So it's not level 6 and then upgrade to level 7. It's level 6, build another level 6, and then upgrade those 2 into a level 7. More brick. All right. We'll hold here. We'll hold here. And so Offices. Here's a great example. For somebody, for guys on whether you're on the Tron side or you're on the Ethereum side, here's an exercise to do. Go in, and I'm going to challenge each one of you. And tell me to screw off if you want. That's fine. But try this out. Go in to the vaults on both maps, or on the map that you're not on currently, and look at what the price is going to be to construct an office. And I say a level 7 office, whether it's a business center or a district office. But focus on business center. Look at what it's going to cost to construct that and do the math out in your head. And if you're on the Tron side, look at the Ethereum side and look at the price of Ethereum and assume what you will about Ethereum, and ask yourself, if you're not playing Ethereum, or if you don't want to play Ethereum, if you don't want to build an energy plant or industrial plant, does it make sense to build a business center or an office that you can then use to pull Ethereum out of the global or the district fund to then take and bring over to your Tron operation to fund your upgrades? And guys, on the Ethereum side, look over on the Tron side, the price to acquire the land and to build the building. Is it worthwhile to build a mega business center on Tron to then take that Tron, convert it from Tron to Ethereum, and bring that over to pay and subsidize, continue to build out your Ethereum operation? Forget about industrials, forget about all that stuff, forget about stuff that you can do on either or map. Specifically this, when you look at the passive income opportunities, double check to make sure that you're not leaving money or opportunity on the table. All right, ready, hustler. I'm excited. Oh, there you go. There we go. I'm excited for this, like, for whatever it's worth, and I don't, like, it could just be because I'm a major dork, but I can legitimately live vicariously through Hustler right now, and I suppose you could say, like, yeah, I'm excited because every time he clicks a button, I make some money. So let's call a spade. But there really is something, I guess, we think about generating content to put out on Twitter and in the broader community. Capturing the feeling of going from a level 5 to a level 6 and a level 6 to a level 7, that's a really, really exciting moment. We need to share that more often. Druid, the fee for the upgrade from level 6 to level 7, that's a good question. I'll look that up for you now. I will look it up for you. And I will put the link to where you can look it up as well for yourself in the future. It's on MCPHQ at a 0% tax rate for a benchmark. Uno momento. It is dopamine. No, but there's honestly and actually, here we go. Ethereum guys, look at the Tron district auctions. If you don't want to build stuff on the Tron side, check out the districts themselves. Use it as passive income to fund your journey on the Ethereum side. Yeah, so Druid, it's in the building and construction guide, which I'm pulling the link up for you right now. There. And I will freely admit, for the guys who are only on Tron, there's not much right now, unfortunately. There's not a heck of a lot of reason for you to go and build stuff on the Ethereum side too, right? Because of the cost of Ethereum. But when Ethereum starts to drop, or when Tron starts to pump, and you have a more favorable swap rate, look for the opportunities. Vitaly, you need to have a district, because if for nothing else, the content and the integration of that into you and your wife's portfolio will be perfect. So the upgrade cost, just so you know, whether it's office or energy, there's no difference in the fee structure. It's the same. So you have on the Tron side, a level 7 upgrade at 0% tax is going to be 5,062 Tron. On the Ethereum side, it's going to be 0.3375 Ethereum. There it is. Oof. That is beautiful. My goodness. Look at that. Hustler, congratulations on your first mega ever. You've got a district office in 214, which, because we're doing that little governance democratization practice, you now have voting privileges, and a lot of them, for how we set the policies that impact the district fund distribution, which is cool. And you now have an awesome source of passive income. And even more importantly, now that you've got a mega district office in 214, I hope that means that you will continue to add more infrastructure in 214 so you can recoup some of that back out on the back end with your office. Congratulations, man. That's an amazing accomplishment. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Wow, that's a beautiful sight. That is a beautiful, beautiful sight. Yeah, so Drew, you're talking level 6 upgrade, about 3,400 Tron, level 7, 5,000, 5,100 Tron. And then on the Ethereum side, 0.225 Ethereum for level 6 and 0.3375 for level 7. Check out the IP. Well, 85,000 before appliances. So what do we got? 85,000 times 0.3, 25. 110, 111,000 with the appliances. Hustler, hit up if you don't have red satellites already. Hit up Bevins. Yeah, he's got. I know he's selling red satellites. I apologize if anybody else here is selling red satellites. I don't mean to take that business from you, but I do know for a fact that Bevins produces them. Very, very cool, Hustler. I'm thrilled for you. And this area is really, really starting to look nice. So the metro station is going to go right over here, right? So we are going to build that. I think MCP, you guys confirmed for me, which I appreciate. I can build the metro station live here and then hop into World, and it will be present. I might just have to refresh, but we will do either Saturday or Sunday next weekend. Is going to be a live of me building the metro station, and then we're going to jump in and we're going to walk all over the district. So it's going to be fun. Look at that, Hustler. That's awesome. And then Hustler, you also built, I think over here, Hustler added a beautiful level 6 commercial with a bus stop. So I appreciate the utility of the bus stop. And congratulations on the level 6 as well. Wow. I love it. I love it for more reasons than one. I love it for the revenue. I love it for the accomplishment, for the content. That's great. Hustler's always making moves. Have you guys seen this? Like, we'll just continue to pick on Hustler. I guess we're not really picking on it. I feel like it's a lot more of like a celebration. But outside the tower, this is pretty much every single sign here that you see that says sold. If you open it and you click on it, oh, hold up here. Did you? Oh no, okay. It's all crypto Hustler, Hustler. You getting this trend? If you keep clicking on these plots, Hustler. Oh, dude, you dropped you upgraded to level 6 here too, huh? Passive income push. I love it. I said, yeah, because those were 2 level 5s for. Because I almost reached out to you before I had to build a metro station, and that took all of my money. I was going to reach out to you to see if you wanted to sell those 2 plots, because I bought these 2 plots next to it, and my OCD was like, oh, you know what I really want to be able to do? I'd really love to be able to come over here, look at the Tron Tower, and have 2 identical 1x2 custom buildings on either side. But luckily my wallet could not keep up with my OCD on that one. Yeah. This is gonna be a nice area. Same thing on the Ethereum side too. I love it. All right. Well, I think we've had a wonderful discussion. It was, I think, enlightening for hopefully for MCP as well as for us, right? So we got some context from MCP on what they're thinking. MCP got a nice dose of what we're concerned about, especially some of the stuff that is going to keep us awake or anxious. So I'm really thrilled about that. Subway shall appear in the world demo when the land plot will be refreshed, just going out of the 20x20 land plots and returning back or refreshing the client. No live updates yet. Okay. All right. So I can build it. I can build it in MCP, and then if I load the world client fresh after I build it, it should be there. And if not, worst case scenario, load it in, move out 20x20, and come back in, and it should be there, or refresh the browser altogether. Okay. Eric seems to be anxiously awaiting the article. Just a little bit, though. Just a little bit. All right. Well, we are going on 2.5 hours. I have dogs that are throwing up, a child that has not received any attention from his father today, and a partner who has also not received any attention from me today. And believe it or not, I think they actually do like having me around. So I'm going to go and try to be a dad for a little bit. But we'll be right back here again Saturday and Sunday next weekend. I do not have what we were talking about finalized yet. One of those days will be specifically dedicated to building out the Metro Station 214, and then a complete tour in Mega World of 214. Just general chatter, and we can do questions there as well. And the other day right now is an open item. So if there's anything specific that you guys would like to see or talk about, let's use one of those days for that. So just shoot me a note, and we'll get that sorted out. But otherwise, you will see a schedule and agenda for next weekend appearing probably either later today or sometime tomorrow. I'm going to stick around and chat for a couple minutes. Big thank you to MCP for joining yet again. You guys joined yesterday, you joined today, and not only did you join and listen, but you participated. So I'm extremely grateful for that. All the amazing questions from the community. Eric, you came prepared. You had awesome ideas. I love the thought starters. It's inspiring. It's going to help others form an opinion and help us get as a community to a place where we all have a better understanding of what's important to each other and stuff that we can build off of. Hustler, thank you and congratulations for your level 7. That is amazing. Kevin, thank you for purchasing that land in 214. That is super helpful to me. You're going to see a whole bunch of Mega appear in the District 214 wallet shortly. For everybody else who came, crazy for creating a brand new Twitch account just so that you could chat. Vitaly and Polina, thank you so much for all that you guys are doing on Twitter, not just to help and support me and promote this stream and this channel, but MCP as a whole. I love it. It's amazing. It's inspiring, not just to me, but hopefully to others. Gucci, congratulations on the level 7. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it all. I'm leaving out far too many people. I'm going to try to get better about thanking everybody. But for this stream specifically, this was wonderful. These are touchy, sensitive subjects, and I feel like we navigated them in an extremely effective way and productive and constructive. So let's continue to use these streams as a way to come together to talk about these topics. It's gonna get toxic in Discord if we try to have some of these discussions there. But this stream and any time that we have together, I always want it to be something where we can talk about, we can share opinions, we can talk through why certain things are important. We can gut check each other. Lord knows Eric is going to do that with me, so I appreciate Eric, you always playing devil's advocate there. This is just, it's a fucking Catalina wine mixer, hustler. I love it. All right, guys, I'm going to stick around and chat, but I will talk to you all very soon. Thank you so much, everyone. I love you all. Have a great day and a great weekend. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. I'll see you later.